What was supposed to be a warm, friendly interview turned into one of the most explosive moments in daytime TV. Viewers watched in shock as Kelly Clarkson confronted Meghan Markle with accusations no one saw coming, accusations so serious that Meghan's reaction stunned the entire studio. What happened next forced producers to cut to an emergency break. And moments later, Meghan was kicked off the show. This is the full story. Meghan Markle stepped onto the brightly lit stage of the Kelly Clarkson show with a carefully practiced smile, the kind she had used hundreds of times before. Cameras flashed, the audience applauded, and everything looked like it would be another polished daytime interview. Soft questions, easy laughs, and gentle promotion. But from the very first second something felt wrong. Meghan sensed it the moment she shook Kelly Clarkson's hand. Kelly's smile was polite, but her eyes carried a seriousness that didn't match the upbeat music or the warm audience welcome. As Meghan sat down on the couch, adjusting her dress and keeping her posture perfect, Kelly introduced her with noticeably less enthusiasm than usual. Instead of the long list of accomplishments and flattering compliments she gave most guests, Kelly's introduction was short, almost abrupt. Even the audience seemed to pick up on the shift in energy, clapping slower, watching with a strange curiosity, as if they could sense something brewing beneath the surface. Meghan tried to maintain her calm. She crossed her legs, nodded slightly, and gave her trademark soft smile. But inside, she could feel the tension tightening around her like invisible rope. Kelly leaned forward, resting her elbows on her knees in a posture that most guests never saw, assertive, confrontational, and far more serious than her bubbly on-screen persona usually allowed. "Meghan," Kelly began, her voice steady, "today's conversation is going to be a little different." There was no laughter from the audience. No playful music. No soft transition. Just that one sentence hanging in the air like a warning. Meghan blinked, surprised by the tone. She forced a small chuckle and replied, "Different how?" trying to steer the mood back to something friendly, something controlled. But Kelly didn't move. She didn't smile. She didn't soften her expression. Instead, she said, "I told my team that if we were going to do this interview we were going to be more direct than usual. People want real answers, not rehearsed ones." The studio audience murmured, a ripple of shock passing through the seats. Meghan's smile faltered for the first time, a tiny crack forming beneath the surface. She shifted her weight, her hands tightening slightly around the arm of the couch. This was not what she had prepared for. Her team had assured her it would be a comfortable conversation, one that would help reshape her narrative and present her in a softer, more relatable light. But Kelly's tone said otherwise. This wasn't a gentle daytime chat. This was something else, something sharper and far more dangerous. Meghan could feel the cameras zooming in on her face, capturing every blink, every forced smile, every flicker of discomfort. Kelly continued, her voice steady and unshaken. "There are things that have come up recently," she said, "and I think it's only fair we address them. Honestly and openly." The audience leaned forward. Producers behind the cameras exchanged quick glances. Meghan inhaled slowly, struggling to maintain composure. She tried to keep her expression neutral, but the tension was now unmistakable, a quiet storm forming right in the center of the stage. Meghan was no stranger to pressure, no stranger to controversy, but something about Kelly's directness, the unusual coldness in the studio air, made her feel cornered in a way she hadn't expected. She knew instantly, this was not going to be an ordinary interview. This was a confrontation. And it was only the beginning. The tension in the studio thickened as Kelly Clarkson reached under her chair and pulled out a thin stack of papers. The audience fell into a stunned silence. Meghan watched the movement closely, too closely, her eyes narrowing, her posture stiffening. She knew that look. She had seen it in interviews that tried to corner her before. But this time, something in Kelly's demeanor was different. This wasn't tabloid gossip or vague online rumors. This was something tangible, prepared, and clearly meant to expose. "Meghan," Kelly said slowly, tapping the papers against her palm, "these came across my desk 2 days ago. And honestly, my team and I were shocked." Meghan's breath caught. She didn't move. She didn't blink. Her carefully constructed calm began to crack at the edges, though she tried desperately to hide it. Kelly lifted the first page and read aloud, her voice steady, almost too steady. "These are leaked internal emails. Emails allegedly between you and senior staff members from your time with the royal household." A gasp rippled through the audience. Meghan's fingers curled slightly at her side, her jaw tightening for just a moment before she forced her expression back into something polite, neutral, almost frozen. "I haven't seen those," she said firmly. But Kelly kept going. "According to these messages," Kelly continued, Staff members claim you gave contradictory instructions, used intimidation tactics, and created a toxic environment. Several of these testimonies, she tapped another page, were submitted anonymously but confirmed by multiple sources. Meghan's eyes flickered, a flash of panic quickly replaced by controlled irritation. She leaned slightly forward trying to speak, but Kelly held up her hand, calm, controlled, and determined to finish. "That's not all," Kelly said, laying down the papers and picking up a small tablet from the side table. "There's also this." She pressed play. A blurred audio clip filled the studio, what sounded like someone recounting an argument involving Meghan and a former staff member. The words weren't perfectly clear, but they were damaging enough to send the audience into hushed whispers. Meghan's lips parted, stunned, not by the clip itself, but by the fact that Kelly was bold enough to play it live on air. Meghan swallowed hard, trying to steady her breathing. "Kelly," she said sharply, "this is extremely unfair. You can't just—" But Kelly interrupted, her tone steady, grounded, unwavering. "Unfair? Meghan, people have been asking questions for years. These aren't tabloids. These are direct statements from people who worked with you." The audience tensed. You could feel the energy shift, the discomfort, the anticipation. Everyone was waiting for Meghan's reaction, waiting to see if she would deny, deflect, or fight back. Meghan's face tightened for a split second, a flash of anger crossing her features before she masked it with a cold half-smile. Kelly wasn't finished. "There are also contradictions," she continued, picking up another sheet, "between what you said in previous interviews and what these documents suggest. Dates that don't align. Claims that don't match staff records. Events that reportedly never happened the way they were described publicly." Meghan exhaled sharply, her composure slipping like a mask starting to crack. The lights felt hotter now. The studio seemed smaller, the audience louder even in their silence. "Are you seriously doing this on live TV?" Meghan asked, her voice low, controlled but trembling at the edges with restrained fury. Kelly met her gaze directly. "I'm doing what every journalist is supposed to do. Ask questions people are too afraid to ask." For the first time, Meghan looked genuinely shaken. Her hand twitched near her mic. The cameras zoomed in, capturing the exact moment her confidence faltered. The moment she realized this interview was not just uncomfortable, it was dangerous. She was trapped in a corner she hadn't prepared for, facing accusations she couldn't easily dismiss. And everyone watching could feel it. This was only the beginning of her unraveling. The moment Kelly Clarkson set the papers down, the air in the studio changed. What had started as discomfort slowly transformed into something far more volatile. Meghan's posture stiffened, her chin lifting just slightly, a small but unmistakable sign that she was preparing for battle. The audience sensed it too. Whispers stirred, people shifted in their seats, and the studio lights seemed to sharpen as if anticipating the storm about to break. "Kelly," Meghan began, her voice lower than before, "this feels like an ambush." She didn't bother hiding her frustration now. Her tone carried an edge that cut through the tension like a blade. "I came here for a fair conversation. Not to be attacked with leaked documents and anonymous testimonies that your team didn't even verify." Kelly didn't flinch. She kept her eyes locked on Meghan, her expression firm but calm. "It isn't an ambush," she replied evenly. "It's accountability." The audience erupted, not in applause but in a strange, mixed noise of shock, discomfort, and anticipation. People glanced at each other, unsure of whose side to take. Some gasped under their breath. Others waited with wide, unblinking eyes. Meghan raised a hand in disbelief. "Accountability?" she repeated. "By blindsiding me with things I've never seen before? Things taken out of context? You're not asking questions, Kelly, you're staging a spectacle." Kelly sat up straighter, folding her hands calmly in her lap. "The public has questions," she said. "You've given multiple interviews, made multiple claims, and every time there's controversy, the blame goes to someone else. People deserve clarity." Meghan's eyes flashed, anger building beneath the surface. "And you think the best way to get clarity is by humiliating me on daytime television?" Her voice rose slightly, sharp enough that a few audience members inhaled loudly, startled by the sudden spike in intensity. Kelly didn't look away. "I think the best way is to have an honest conversation," she said simply. "Something many feel hasn't happened yet." That comment hit its mark. Meghan leaned forward, her jaw tightening, her hands gripping the edge of her seat. "You don't get to decide what's honest and what's not," she snapped. "You don't know what I've lived through, what I've experienced. And neither does anyone else," Kelly replied, her tone cool but unyielding, "because every time someone challenges your version they're dismissed. Silenced. Villainized. Meghan, Kelly tried again. But Meghan didn't let her finish. You don't care about truth, she snapped. You care about the shock factor. You want your show trending. You want a viral clip. And you're willing to drag me through the mud to get it. The temperature in the studio seemed to spike instantly. Everyone felt the shift. The interview had officially spiraled out of control. Kelly's eyebrows lowered, her voice firm yet surprisingly calm. I care about transparency. People deserve. No, Meghan cut her off, pointing a finger directly at her. People deserve to stop obsessing over my life. But you're feeding that obsession. Kelly did not look away. I'm giving you a chance to address the accusations publicly. And I'm done, Meghan said, her voice trembling with anger. She reached up with one hand and unclipped her microphone. The sound crackled sharply in the speakers as the mic detached, startling several audience members. Gasps echoed around the studio. Some shouted, "No way." Others simply stared, frozen in disbelief. Meghan stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the stage floor with a harsh sound that sliced through the silence. Her entire expression had changed. No more practiced smile, no more calm posture. Her face was flushed, her eyes blazing with a mixture of humiliation, betrayal, and fury. Kelly rose halfway from her seat, instinctively reaching out a hand. Meghan, wait. But Meghan jerked back, refusing any gesture of peace. Don't, she snapped. Don't pretend this is a conversation. This is an ambush and you know it. I won't be part of it. Producers suddenly rushed in from both sides of the stage. Two from behind the cameras, one from the wings, another waving frantically at the control room. The show's director shouted for a commercial break, but the delay was just long enough for viewers at home to witness the chaos unfolding live. Can we cut the feed? Cut the feed, a producer whispered urgently to another, but the cameras were still rolling, capturing every second of Meghan's meltdown. Meghan moved toward the edge of the stage, pacing with short, furious steps. I should never have come here, she muttered, though her mic was already off. This is exactly why I don't trust these shows. Kelly tried again, her tone softer now but still carrying authority. Meghan, walking off doesn't solve anything. Meghan spun around, her voice sharp as glass. Staying would mean letting you humiliate me further. I'm not giving you that satisfaction. Audience members were frozen, hands over their mouths, phones half raised but unsure if they were allowed to record. The atmosphere felt electric, dangerous, like a storm that had just cracked open above them. One producer approached Meghan carefully. Please just step backstage. We can resolve this privately. But Meghan shook her head, her voice icy and final. I'm done. She turned and stormed toward the exit, heels striking the floor with unforgiving force. Kelly stood motionless, watching her leave, stunned but composed. The audience remained silent. No applause, no noise, just the sound of Meghan's footsteps echoing as she disappeared behind the curtain. The moment she vanished from sight, the studio erupted into controlled chaos. Producers whispered urgently, the director barked instructions, and Kelly remained on stage, still processing what had just happened. One thing was clear, the breaking point had arrived, and Meghan Markle had walked straight into it. The studio is frozen in disbelief the moment Meghan turns her back to the cameras. Her heels strike the stage floor with sharp, echoing steps as she storms toward the exit, mic still crackling with fragments of muffled audio. Kelly sits motionless, eyes wide, trying to process what just unfolded in front of a live audience and millions watching at home. The crowd, once buzzing with curiosity, now sits in a stunned silence so thick it almost feels staged. A few gasps ripple through the front row as producers rush across the set, scrambling to decide whether to cut to commercial or keep rolling. But the cameras keep running. And every second is pure television fire. Kelly tries to regain control, her voice shaking slightly as she tells viewers that she didn't expect this reaction, but the damage is already done. Backstage, crew members whisper urgently, some claiming Meghan shouted about being set up, others insisting she knew exactly what she walked into. No one can agree on what was said in those chaotic moments after she left the stage. All they know is that the atmosphere shifted from tense to explosive in a single heartbeat. Within minutes, the internet erupts. Clips of Meghan ripping off her mic appear on social media, each angle more dramatic than the last. Fan camps split instantly. Some accuse Kelly of crossing the line, saying Meghan was baited for ratings, while others insist Meghan ran because she had something to hide. Anonymous insiders begin leaking fragments of the confrontation, claiming producers received last-minute documents contradicting Meghan's previous interviews. Comment sections flood with theories, timelines, and heated debates. People demand receipts, and every outlet scrambles to release exclusive updates, each more sensational than the last. Rumors swirl that Meghan's team is preparing a statement accusing the show of manipulative tactics, while Kelly's staff insists they simply asked necessary questions. Meanwhile, the footage of Meghan storming off becomes the most replayed moment of the week, dissected frame by influencers, journalists, and critics hungry for any clue about what set her off. Some fans point to her expression, claiming they saw genuine fear. Others argue it was guilt. No one knows the truth, but everyone wants it. By the end of the night, the world is divided. What exactly was Meghan trying to avoid? Why did the questions shake her so deeply? And what happens when the full recordings eventually surface? One thing is certain. This walk-off becomes the moment people can't stop talking about, fueling a firestorm that refuses to calm down. And the question remains, was Meghan pushed too far, or was she simply caught in a truth she didn't want uncovered? If you want the full story breakdown, exclusive updates, and deeper analysis of what really happened behind the scenes, make sure to like the video, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments, because this saga is far from over, and your voice matters in uncovering the truth.